Hello, I'm Max Blatter, one of the Teens Make History players and the other stage manager for today's production. I'm also a senior at Crossroads College Prep. We will soon start our Q&A. If you're watching at home and have questions, please put them in the chat. Quick disclaimer, some team members have been having some technical difficulties today, so some people might be moving in and out of the stream, but we'll try to keep it going anyway. So yeah, let me now take a moment to thank everyone watching. Continuing to create theater during a pandemic has been a challenge, and no play is complete without an audience, so thank you for joining us. At this time, I would reintroduce the other stage manager, James Harris, but it looks like he's not present at the moment, so I will move on to welcoming the cast back to the call.
Hi, my name is Ginger Ramirez. I am a junior at Marquette High School, and I play Lynn in today's production.
Hi, my name's Alexia. I'm a junior at Lindbergh High School, and I played Drew in today's production.
Hi, I'm Maria Shaw. I am a senior at Parkway West High School, and I played Grace in today's production.
So remember, if you're watching at home and have oh, Gabby's here now.
Hi, I'm Maria Shaw. I am a senior at Parkway West High School, and I played Grace in today's production.
Seems like Gabby might still be having some connection problems. I will move on. So yeah, remember, if you're watching at home and have questions, add them in the chat. So let me start with a question for everyone. How different was doing the Zoom play than doing a live play in the museum? Thumbs up for very different, thumbs down for pretty much the same, and thumbs in the middle for somewhere in between. So yeah, in general, it looks like you thought the experience was about somewhere in between. So starting off, Alexia, how was acting in a Zoom play different than when you perform in the galleries or on stage?
This time, usually we get to connect people at the museum and focus on hands in our bodies and the audience. But this time it was more working with the camera and seeing what different angles we could get and our facial expressions especially. And so there were some similarities, but also some differences.
Mm-hmm. So Araya, what was the rehearsal process like?
So after we finished writing our script, we did like read-throughs and casting, just figuring out everybody's schedules and, you know, what people fit roles best, because for like some of our roles, race was something that mattered. So we had to kind of work with that. And after that, we basically just went through. We started with blocking episode 1, which, like, blocking when you're in a virtual setting is very different than blocking in person. You still have to block that's still to block virtually because you have to fill your space. Mm-hmm. But we just went through that. We did our run-throughs. You know, we got notes from our directors and about what we needed to fix and what we needed to work on.
Mm-hmm. So Ginger, moving it to you, how did it feel to play a character with very different values and opinions than the ones that you hold in real life?
Well, I just had to try and find what I had in common with the character, like what emotions I would be feeling in a similar situation to try and make it more authentic.
Mm-hmm. So before we were even able to start that rehearsal process, we had to research and decide which stories we wanted to include in our plays. So Araya, what was the process like when you were deciding which stories to tell? Were there stories you really wanted to include that maybe just didn't quite fit in?
So when we first started getting ready for this production, we knew a couple of things. So we knew since we can't meet in person, it would have to be on Zoom, meaning that it would have to be more of a current events kind of topic, because you can't really necessarily play about World War II or whatever when Zoom didn't exist back then, you know?
Mhm.
And so we had to kind of work through that. And so us, the teams, we kind of, you know, went and we wrote and like what things we would like to maybe look at and would like to explore, and we voted on it,
Mhm.
chose our top couple of answers, and we went through, and after that, I guess we went through and we just started looking through our research to find like stories we wanted. There was a couple of cases where like we had maybe a story we wanted to include, but then as we got into the writing process and into character development, it didn't really come through. Like, I know a big example is we had thought about maybe having a character who had a family member who was a police officer, and you know what people on that side of the spectrum might be dealing with right now. And but when we were writing, that didn't come through fruition. But yeah.
So yeah, I'd love to open this up to everyone now, including all of you watching. How does this play mirror your experience of the pandemic? How is it different? If you're watching, you can share your answers in the chat. While they're typing, if any of you would like to share how your experience with the pandemic was similar or different to what was in the play. Yeah.
If nobody else wants to answer, I can answer. I know personally my experiences, this one I think was the one I didn't relate to the most. But I mean, a little bit of like, I can understand like wanting to get involved, wanting to go out, but also being like afraid with like COVID and stuff like that, and just having to like work at separating, okay, what's the truth, what's, you know, the media showing at the truth, and kind of finding like that like sweet point, that middle point, you know?
Yeah. So I would love to now take us to some of the questions in the chat. So first, I will ask Ginger. Sean from Facebook is asking, what do you think was the most rewarding part of this experience?
Okay. I don't know. It was just fun to write something.
Mm-hmm. And then I'll ask Alexia. Indigo on YouTube is asking, how was it writing plays about many issues that people don't feel comfortable talking about? Did that spark any conversation during the writing process?
Yeah, I think that it's really interesting to be able to put on play about such taboo topics, and we tried to stay pretty we stayed there wasn't too much conflict in them, because a lot of us do still believe in similar things, but yeah, we just wanted to share a lot about what has been going on and people's experiences. So we didn't try to make anything controversial. It was just about what has been happening so far this year.
So this next one from Indigo on YouTube, I'll direct this one to you, Araya. What did the set and like stage design look like over Zoom?
There wasn't a lot of like set and stage design this time around than like what it would normally be if we were in the museum, but it was a lot of, we just had to figure out, mainly the big thing was like lighting. I know some of us are like in different spaces or had to make adjustments from like where we would normally be to make sure we have like good lighting and an area with minimal distractions where we're not going to be like distracted by background noises. So that was like our big thing this time around.
Bringing it back to asking you a question, Ginger. Sean on Facebook is asking, how do you think that like teens get their news today? How do they learn about what's going on, do you think?
Well, I think a lot of it comes from social media rather than because honestly, many kids these days don't sit down and watch the news or anything like that. So that means that we get like a very focused version, like because of what we follow on social media. Like we only get the kind of news that we're looking for.
Mhm. So yeah, I guess we've got time for just one or two more questions. I'll direct this one. Oh, sorry. There is so I'll direct this one to Alexia. This is one from Julia on YouTube. As teens, do you believe that your generation is more willing to discuss issues than your parents' or grandparents' generations?
Yeah, I definitely think so. That also relates back to the last question. And a lot of the times I'm able to discuss not just with my friends, but with any people who are willing to discuss about these subjects. I think a lot of times older people want to stay more neutral. This might be a generalization, but what I've noticed through my own experiences, I definitely think younger people are not only more willing to discuss these subjects, but to do something about these discrepancies.
Mm-hmm. It looks like that is everything. So yeah, I would comment from Victoria. I think it did a great job of highlighting that difference between real life and how media portrays certain events. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, I guess I would like to thank everyone for sticking around for this Q&A. Thank you for coming to our show today, and check out the Missouri Historical Society website to find out about other upcoming virtual programs. Have a wonderful afternoon. Thanks.